Get the fire extinguishers, because I've got the hottest take of the century. Crash Team Racing is better than Mario Kart. Well, specifically Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled is better than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. What do you mean that's a cool take? I'm not basic, I am different, I'm unique, I'm interesting. Fine. But I'm going to prove my point today by asking the question, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. Is this a perfect game? 2 points of order before we get into it, and yes, this should have been built into the intro better, but it didn't fit the bit, and you gotta fit the bit. Anyway, 1. Amy will be joining us again, although I'm gonna be really long-winded in this one, so her parts might seem shorter, but they're around the same length. And 2, this game is a remake of the first Crash Team Racing game with all of the characters and tracks from the first and second game, as well as brand new characters and tracks that were added to the game seasonally for free. When I'm talking about the game, I'll occasionally refer to the originals for context, but we'll mostly be talking about the Nitro Fueled remake, and that is the specific game we're judging today, not the originals. Let's review how we do. I'm Rytoast and I really love gaming. Nearly every game I've played I've loved, the bad ones I've liked, and the glitchy, unplayable messes have given me some of my favorite memories. So instead of reviewing all games, because that would skew really positive, I'm going to go over my favorite games of all time and ask the question, is this a perfect game? We'll find out by going over 5 categories. First, visuals. How does the game's style add or subtract from the game's vibes? And how well do they pull it off? Does graphical fidelity matter in their style? If it does, how is it? Second, audio. How's the mixing? Can I hear dialogue over sound effects? And if not, is that on purpose? Is the voice acting good? Most importantly for me, how's that soundtrack? Is it appropriate for the game? Would I listen to it later on Spotify because it's so good? Third, feel. How them controls? When I want to jump, do I jump where I'd expect to go? If the controls are hard to use, is that the point of the game? How's the UI? Does it make sense? Fourth, plot. How's that dialogue? Do I like the themes? Do I think the vibe they're going for is pulled off well? Is it funny? Is it not supposed to be funny? And finally, for lack of a better term, gushability. A 5 bonus points category to make up for lack of stuff elsewhere or to be a cherry on top. There's nothing technical that I can explain here, but it's how well I would gush about this game. For instance, if a game gets a 10 out of 10 in every other category and 5 points here, it'd be one of my favorite games of all time. I'd talk about it with this warm fuzzy feeling inside and I'd just go on and on and on. If it got a 10 out of 10 in every other category but a 0 in this one, oh yeah, that game. It's very well made. Does that make sense? Finally, if a game manages to get a 40 or more, it goes up to the perfect game lounge to chill with the greats. Every other one gets ranked below. Will we ever find a perfect game? Do you think today's game is going to be a perfect game? Let me know your predictions in the comments below. And while you're down there, there's some really cool buttons that say like and subscribe. You should totally find out what those do by pressing them. Thank you. Now let's get into it. Oh, and spoilers ahead, obviously. Skip to here if you want to know the final verdict of the game with as minimal spoilering as possible. The original game looked great for coming out on the PS1, but the HD remastering of these old tracks is done wonderfully. So many tracks in this game got full graphical overhauls as the scope of the visuals was limited in the first game, but the scope of their imagination wasn't. The tracks now look like what they very well were always meant to look like if hardware limitations hadn't existed back then. The menus are clear and polished, the cutscenes received a major glow up from this.
Wow, you call that racing? Forget about it. If you's gonna face outside, you's gonna have to get past me first. I'm the speed champion here, and I'm gonna save the world. For a sizable fee, of course.
To this.
What, you call that racing? Forget about it. If you's gonna race outside, you's gonna have to get past me first. I'm the speed champion here, and I'm gonna save the world. For a sizable fee, of course.
This isn't even to mention the massive overhaul of karts. One of the most important aspects of kart racers, the way karts work in the game, has been fully redone. What was once a skin on one model that matched the chosen character, now you have a countless collection of fully customizable karts, down to color, pattern, wheels, and even stickers. The possibilities are nearly endless, especially when you consider the sheer amount of options they've provided. The other half of your experience, the racers themselves, have also received an overhaul. Not only are both games' rosters here, but never-before-played characters as well, each character having a multitude of costumes to go with. When adding that to the mix, the number of unique combinations of racer and kart is nearly incalculable. But I did. There are 1,744,142,400 different combinations. Wait, that doesn't include stickers. Including stickers, the grand total is actually 387,199,612,800 different combinations. That's fucking ridiculous. For visuals, I have to give it a 10. I mean, look at this game. Look at it. Mwah. It's so pretty, and there's such an obscene amount of content and polish, it's honestly insane. Props to the devs and the designers here because they went ham. And all of this is in a $40 at-launch game. Talk about bang for your buck.
Okay, let me tell you a secret. I never played the original CTR. I did, however, play the shit out of Crash Nitro Kart on PS2. The visual upgrades are amazing. It looks so pretty. 10 out of 10. Absolutely lovely.
Oh, my sweet, sweet audio. Crash games are notorious for banger soundtracks, and they did not skip out on the tracks for CTR either. Some tracks being homages to songs from the original games, most being completely new songs that are just as good. To prove it, all the songs from this video are from CTR Nitro Fueled, except for the rules explanation because I pre-made that video because I'm lazy. But they're all great. I would listen to them in the car if they were on Spotify. But they're not. So for now, my YouTube playlists, they will stay. Naturally, there's not as much to talk about in this section for a kart racer, but regardless, it gets a 9.5. But Rye, I hear you protest, you've done nothing but laud the soundtrack. Why ever did it miss the 10? Well, dear viewer, why did you say why ever? Are you a nerd? Sit down. Activision put the Insane trilogy on Spotify, but they never put the Crash Team Racing one on there as well. So I'm spiteful, and I'm also petty. Also, this is my list, and I can do what I want. Also, shut up.
10 out of 10. Don't listen to Rye. That's all. It's 10 out of 10. Audio snob.
Oh boy, do I love the way this game feels. The karts are so quick and responsive, and the one thing that differentiates this game from any other racer in my opinion, the drift boost system. Now, for those unaware, no, I'm not referring to the thing that most racers have where you can drift and then build up a boost and release it for a quick push, a la Mario Kart. CTR has a drastically different system, and while it does slightly raise the skill floor to new players who have to adjust, it takes the skill ceiling from here to here. I won't go all the way into it because you could honestly make an hour-long video and still be missing some of the specifics, but you've got to hear about this, so I'll try to give it a basic coverage. The very basics is that while you're drifting, this bar fills up. As it fills up, you can press the other drift button and get your boost, and you can do this up to 3 times per drift. Cool. The key for the biggest boost is being as close to full as possible without filling. That alone is enough to add a whole nother dimension to racing. But that's just the start, and the next bit is the best bit that takes this game's skill ceiling to the moon. Reserves. In this game, boosts work by giving your car additional speed for a set amount of time. However, if you get another boost before your current one is finished, the remaining time of the first boost essentially gets put into your reserves as a pool, and then the second boost starts. This can be comboed essentially infinitely if you boost close together frequently enough, keeping your kart boosting the whole race and building this pool of reserves. This gets especially crazy when adding the fact that you boost at the highest speed you've reached while using your reserves. Add all this together with one more key thing, Blue Flame or Ultimate Sacred Fire. This is a boost speed reserved for specific pads on particularly large jumps, so it's not on every track either. But when it is, and when combined, you can drive the whole track at this insane speed. One key thing to note, if you come into contact with any object, wall, or enemy weapon, your reserves immediately fully deplete. So the challenge then comes with how long can you maintain this speed while perfectly driving the course. To show how drastic the speed can get, here's an example of just driving normally, no drifting or anything. here's an example of a full Blue Flame speed drive. Yeah, it gets insane, and the game knows it. Most players will be able to beat the main story through some hard work, but the challenge just starts there. The time trials are where the real hard mode begins, and the game doesn't pull any punches. First, you need to beat the game sufficiently quickly as to unlock the first challenger, Entropy, who's already loads faster than the first place spot on the leaderboard. After beating him, you unlock the Nitrous Oxide time. After him, you unlock Emperor Velo time. And after him, you unlock something I've never even come close to beating, developer times. This game knows how high its skill ceiling is, and it installed stairs all the way to the top. Some other things to touch on is, again, customization. At launch, CTR Nitro Field mimicked the original games, where your cart stats were determined by your character of choice. But after hearing community feedback, they made it so it was just another option, allowing people to play as their favorite character regardless of their controls. Side note to the side note, if you count setting your control type as customizing your character customization options officially go into the trillions. If it wasn't obvious, Field gets a fat 10. This game is so good. It feels good. It's fun at the base level, but pulling off Blue Flame racing is so challenging, yet satisfying when you're at the top of your game.
Okay, so I give the Feel a 7.5 out of 10. Maybe that's because I have a swear brain, but the drift boost controls are just too hard for me. I can't even steer the cart if it goes too fast. Oops.
This is a kart racer, so big oof. Well, to the game's credit, there is a story here. They brought the campaign mode over from the original CTR, and it's all here. It's a really fun mode and a great way to learn and improve in the game. The plot of the game is, bad. But honestly, it's not really the remake's fault, as they just brought it over 1-to-1. Although there is a big problem here which I will dock points for. It's CTR Nitro fueled, because the game carried over every racer and track from the sequel to CTR, Nitro Kart. Nitro Kart has a full story, but it's nowhere to be found in this remake. If you're trying to make an all-encompassing experience, you should probably put the story of the other game you've brought everything else over from. I went back and forth on this one, but I think it gets a 7. The story that is here isn't amazing, but again, it's not really the fault of the remake that the original plot is subpar. And also, it's a kart racer, so plot isn't really important in the first place. The main thing pulling points away is the entire lack of Nitro Kart story mode.
Where's my horrible Nitro Kart plot? 0 out of 10. Just kidding. I think I agree with Rye on that 7. The plot sucks. But that's not the remake's fault.
I love this game so much. I profess my love for this game from the rooftops. I'm 100% that guy that when Mario Kart gets brought up, I mention, yeah, this game's fun. You guys play CTR? And no, it's not because I'm bad at Mario Kart. I'm actually pretty good. I'm just better at CTR, and I prefer it for its more content, customization, and higher skill ceiling. This gets a 5. Literally, I live my life waiting for people to give me an excuse to talk about this game.
I love this game, I agree. I like it better than Mario Kart, but I am a Sony child at heart. Mario Kart is easier in my opinion, but this game is just 1,000 times better. Flat 5.
Alright, points all tallied, it's time to ask the question. Is Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled a perfect game? Yes! With a total score of 41.5,
39.5.
CTR Nitro Fuel slips easily into the perfect game lounge, and just edges out It Takes Two to become the current best game so far. But of course, there's plenty of room in the lounge for the both of them. If it's not obvious yet, CTR is one of my favorite games of all time. If I had it on the Switch, I'd have a serious problem on my hands. Right now, the main thing that tames my addiction is the hassle of playing it on the PS4 instead of PC or Switch. Here's the big question that I do genuinely want to know. What do you prefer? Mario Kart, Crash Team Racing, or another kart racer entirely? Have you played Crash Team Racing before? If not, I highly recommend you give it a go. It's really blast, and it's cheaper than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will ever be. Not to mention how deeply discounted it is, usually when it's on sale. Other than that, what game should I do next? Do you disagree with my ranking of CTR? Or, in other words, do you have bad taste? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, really quick, hands up, ready, catch it. Oh, you caught the like button, thanks for giving that like. You don't get a choice in this. Here's the subscribe button. Press it. And remember, as always, stay toasty.